Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott, and I'm here today to give you a little bit different kind of review. I'm filming in beautiful New Zealand right now. I've spent the last week or so here while visiting my son and daughter-in-law while he goes to chiropractic college in Auckland. And so I've had a great time taking Viltrox's newest lens all around the North Island. Now, this newest lens from their EVO series is a serious departure from what we've seen in the EVO series to this point. Those lenses, while I've liked every single one of them, they have followed a very defined formula in terms of the actual physical body of the lens, all of them having the exact same exterior dimensions, same feature set. However, in this case, we've moved to a radically different kind of lens, a Pancake lens, and this is a 26mm f2.8 from their EVO series. I've heard a lot of people pontificate on forums and different places that it was impossible to do a Pancake lens, true Pancake lens on Sony E-mount. And even people that have lamented that there was no equivalent to Nikon's own 26mm f2.8 Z-mount lens. Well, we have got basically that same lens, but with some improvement to the feature set and to the performance and a much lower price. This lens will also be available for Nikon Z-mount. I'm testing it on Sony E-mount, but it is a lens that frankly is a lot of fun. And so we're going to dive into all the features of that today, though it will be a little bit different a format because I'm filming in different environments with different tools available to me. Though I did film all of the formal chart tests before I left, and so we will have access to that. I also want to say a big thank you to Viltrox for sending me a review sample. As always, however, they have had zero input in this review. They will not see it before you do, and my findings are my own. It is completely independent. All of that aside, let's dive in and let's take a look at this exciting new lens from Viltrox. The first thing to notice is this is a real Pancake lens. It is incredibly slim. In fact, it is 2.59 inches or 66 millimeters in diameter, but just 23.8 millimeters or right under an inch in overall length, making it a true Pancake in overall size. What's more, it is incredibly light. It weighs in at just 130 grams or 4.58 ounces, making it truly lightweight, but at the same time, it feels very robust. The construction feels more metal than plastics. And what's different from a lot of existing Pancake lenses, including Nikon's own 26mm f2.8 in their Z-mount, is that while this lens just weighs 5 grams more, it actually has a fully functional aperture ring, has a manual focus ring. It's a little bit more feature-rich in that regard. Now, one quirk I did notice is that while traditionally you rotate to the right to rotate through the aperture, in this case, you have to go the opposite direction to the left to go through the aperture. This is a clicked with detents at 1/3 stops and then markings at full stops. There is no declick option here. However, just having an aperture ring is pretty fantastic. The manual focus ring moves fine, but it is a little bit hard to access, and that is particularly true when you move into the various stages. This lens utilizes a very cool magnetic system, and so already you can see that this filter adapter / lens hood, it already is attaching on there, but in this case, very nicely, will bayonet tightly into place, and so it's not going to move. It continues to utilize that magnetic, however, for that, and it is a really definite firm. It's actually a kind of a very cool, kind of tactile thing. There's something about it that's pleasing, the way that it pops on there, and you have no fear of that coming off without that. There is a weather sealing gasket at the lens mount. No other internal seals that I'm aware of, however. And then there is the USB-C port that allows you to do quick and easy firmware updates. Overall, this is a very simple lens to use. However, as noted, that manual focus ring is a little hard to access because it is pretty much flush with this adapter here, the filter, which by the way, 43mm filters will attach there on the front onto the lens hood, filter adapter. And so it's not easy to access it, but I mean, at least there's a manual focus ring there. Their 28mm f4.5 had no manual focus ring, obviously had no aperture ring because it had no aperture control. It had a fixed aperture. This is a much more fully functional lens, and it is generally a pleasure to use. Minimum focus distance is 20 centimeters, and you can get a 0.20 times magnification, which is quite useful. Overall, this lens is generally a pleasure to use, and I love the compact size. Makes a lot of cameras pretty close to pocketable. So let's talk autofocus. Autofocus comes via an STM focus motor, which is of course typical for all of the EVO series. However, this is not an identical focus motor to what we've seen in all of the other lenses. Those are what is called a lead screw type STM focus motor, which is a little bit bulkier, but more importantly, it's higher powered, smoother. It's, for faster lenses, whereas this is a gear type STM, which is designed to be as compact as possible. And obviously in a lens like this, that is the #1 priority. And so because of that, we don't have the same degree of thrust that what we've seen in those other EVO lenses, and so autofocus isn't quite as fast as those. Definitely there's a little bit of a feeling of like a lurching effect. If you're wanting to go from very close to very distant, it's not instantaneous. However, your normal type shots where there's a more minuscule autofocus adjustment, those happen fairly quickly, and frankly I haven't had any kind of issues. This shot may not look like a whole lot, but I just snapped up the camera really fast. I wanted to get a picture of the pastor of the church that my kids are attending while they're here in Auckland. And so anyway, I snapped up a photo real quick. I wanted to catch the pastor there while he was there briefly at the pulpit. And so within a couple of seconds, I grabbed it, it focused, took the shot. And so anyway, I felt like it was responsive enough for that kind of setting. I wouldn't use this for sports photography, but then again, I doubt that anybody's going to be buying this lens for that. More importantly, those of you that shoot street, I think that autofocus is going to be definitely fast enough for that. And definitely for all of the environments that I shot in, a variety of lighting conditions, I had zero issues, and focus actually was always really, really excellent. So that's all great. Focus motor is actually really quiet in operation. And so switching to the video side of things, I think that part of that kind of lurching effect, as you can see here, there's definitely some pronounced focus breathing. That's pretty common in very compact lenses because frankly there isn't a lot of space for the lens elements to go. So there are ways that in manufacturing you can help to mitigate focus breathing a bit within the lens design. There isn't really room to do those same kind of mitigations here. At the same time, however, those focus pulls, they are smooth and confident, and I didn't see any kind of like pulsing or settling. And what's more, I've shot tons of video clips while traveling here to just augment my photos that I'm taking, and I haven't had any issues with any of them. Focus has been where I wanted it to, it's been stable, and I've been able to get a lot of really beautiful video footage with the lens because, as we're going to see in a moment, it is nice and sharp, and so no issues with it on that front. So a lot of good things there. So in summation, I would say that autofocus really is quite good. It's not as fast as the other EVO lenses, but it's fast enough to get the job done. And for a pancake style lens, I think that it does really quite a fantastic job. So let's talk a few minutes about the optics. We have an optical design of 8 elements in 6 groups. That includes 1 high refractive index element along with 2 aspherical lenses in the design. If we take a look at the MTF chart, it shows a very sharp center, a very good mid frame, but then a very steep drop off into the corners. Now, I was kind of interested in seeing that because that didn't necessarily reconcile with what I was seeing out in real world shots. And so I looked a little bit more critically, and I found, for example, in this shot that I can definitely see a fade towards the edges of the frame, but there, with a lot of landscapes, it's the edge that is very important. That looked fine. So I then looked over at a shot where the foreground would be important, the shot of train tracks shot at f5.6. I found that, really the corners look pretty decent to me. And so I would say that this is one of the cases where I feel like the lens maybe outperforms the MTF in real world performance. So maybe it works better at that distance than what it does on the chart testing, though as we're going to see in a moment, it really doesn't look that bad on the charts either. Some of the other factors at play here, however, is that when it comes to vignette and distortion, it does show a bit of barrel distortion. I used a +6 to correct that, so no big deal on that front. And then surprisingly, I only needed a +47 to correct the vignette as well, which, frankly is not bad for such a compact lens. And I've seen far worse in pancake style lenses before. And so I was actually quite pleased with that performance. I found that in most shots, this shot, for example, shot in Hobbiton inside, they have a really charming kind of Hobbit house that you can actually go through with great attention to detail. But this shot, for example, you can see with zero correction on it, there's, a fair amount of straight lines in that shot, but it looks natural without any kind of obvious barrel distortion or warping to it. And so, frankly, I'm pretty happy with that overall performance.
Likewise, when it comes to longitudinal style chromatic aberrations, very, very well controlled. And here on the test chart, you can see that there's just minimal amount of fringing before and after the plane of focus. And even out in real world shots, I've got some shots of some flowers with bright light hitting them, and you're going to see that there really isn't any evidence of fringing there. Now, I did see some lateral style chromatic aberrations in the corners on either my test chart and in a few real world shots, but it wasn't strongly, pronounced, and so no major issue with that either. So frankly, for being such a compact lens, that's really quite a good performance in general. So no complaints on that front. Now, when it comes to sharpness, this is tested on a 61 megapixel A7R Mark V, and results are shown, or the crops are shown at 200% magnification. Here's the test chart, and then here are some crops at F2.8 from across the frame. Center crop looks good as expected. Mid frame looks good as expected, but where I'm surprised is that the corners, they don't look fantastic, but they're certainly more usable than a lot of lenses that I have tested, and so no major results there. And I found that, to me, even shooting real-world f2.8 images, that frankly, I thought that they looked quite good. And so if you're shooting in lower light conditions where you just want to shoot at f2.8, I think you still get very, very good detail, very credible results. If you stop it down, there isn't a huge gains in the center and the mid frame. I found peak was probably around f5.6. There is some noticeable improvement in the corners, however. And so if you want to get the most even performance, I'd say shoot at f5.6. And I found that by f8, it was a very, very mild regression from the peak I saw at f5.6. There's lots of resolution if you're shooting on a high resolution body where you can deeply crop into images. And so, this is a full performance here. It's not like it's a cute little lens that doesn't have real optics to it. This is a real lens, and it performs as such. And in this beautiful shot, this is from Piha Beach in New Zealand, I was able to deeply crop into this image, and you can see that the detail holds up really, really nicely. You're going to see the typical diffraction issues starting at f11 and more pronounced at f16. That's going to be somewhat specific to your camera model and how high the resolution is, but nothing unusual here on that front. Bokeh quality is kind of a mixed bag. This is a little lens, and we've already seen that it's quite sharp. The bokeh quality, because it's wide and it only has an f2.8 aperture, it's not going to obliterate backgrounds. You can focus quite closely, and that does help. And so if you focus down to 20 centimeters, you're getting a 0.20 times level of magnification. So, that is enough to blur out the background fairly decently, but the bokeh is just okay. And I didn't see anything that really wowed me, but nothing that was particularly ugly either. Flare resistance is very much a mixed bag. And so if you are shooting right into the sun, the flare resistance is actually quite good, and there's very little ghosting or veiling that is there. However, if the sun is right out of frame or the light source is right out of frame, you will get some flashing and veiling effects that can be quite strong. And so you're gonna have to watch for that. Look at how different here just the overall look of the image is, with just a tiny little adjustment to my composition in the shot of my daughter-in-law. One of them is very blown out, with that lot of veiling effect, and the other is high contrast, nearly perfect. And it was just, as you can see, just a tiny little adjustment. And so just kind of be aware for that. You can kind of shoot for the effect that you want. In general, I would say, however, that I was actually quite delighted at how credible images were. They have nice detail, good contrast, good color. I don't feel like I'm compromising optically for carrying such a compact lens. And at the end of the day, can you ask for any more than that? So what's my conclusion? Well, in many ways, I feel like the Viltrox EVO 26mm f2.8 is really quite a special lens. Those of you that have been looking for something that is super compact but yet high performing, this is a very useful focal length for walk around and general use. I've really enjoyed it. I haven't really shot a lot of 26mm lenses, but I've actually enjoyed the focal length, and so I've had no issues with that. But also this lens, there's something about it that has kind of a retro charm to it. The lens, although it is very lightweight, it feels very well made. Having an actual aperture ring makes the shooting process feel a little bit more analog, a little bit more organic. And in general, I've actually really liked both the process of using the lens, but also the images that I've gotten out of it. And I keep coming back to the fact that this is a serious performing lens despite it being so compact. And I think that that is exactly what a lot of photographers have been looking for. And the fact that you can score this for under $300 US, I think is going to make it very appealing to a lot of people. And I think this is going to scratch an itch for a lot of people, even those that didn't know that they had it. So at the end of the day, kudos to Viltrox for, diversifying the EVO format and giving us a lens that is both unique but also pretty special at the end of the day. If you want more information, feel free to check out my full text review. That's going to look a little bit more traditional, and you can find that linked in the description down below. There are some buying links there as well. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and let the light in.